Patricia, what's the quorum for this group?
Three.
Three, they have a
You got
quorum.
it. You got it.
Yeah, see, Jacinta just made herself host, so I think she's trying to post it for Melissa. I'll get the link so I can post it.
I'm sending it to you now, Tracy.
Okay.
Patricia, what's the quorum for this group?
Three.
Three, they have a
You got
quorum.
That's an echo.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
All right, it just came through. Let me go get it posted. All right, let me go verify that it's working. And manage committees. Come on. Okay, you're good to go.
Okay, so we'll call the meeting of the Medical Psychology Advisory Committee to order. August 15, 2025. Do we have all the participants identified? And
Thing we have is somebody that just logged in on iPhone.
Chris Rochelle.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, hey,
Hey,
so we've got everybody here. If Glenn can rejoin us. Okay, and
We're trying to identify the iPhone.
Yeah, it's Chris.
Oh, he's using both?
Yeah, it's Dr. Rochelle. I'm gonna go ahead and rename both of them for you, Dr. Van.
my iPhone is plugged in.
Well, somebody
Well,
is
if it's
signed in on
not, then
iPhone. I didn't know if
someone
he was
is
signed in on his
appearing.
computer or what.
Yeah,
No, I'm only on my computer.
it
okay.
might be Glenn.
Well, whoever it is isn't connected to audio, so they're not identifying themselves.
I'll shoot a chat before we start. Give me 1 second.
It's
There he
Glenn.
is. It is.
It's
It is.
Glenn on his
Yeah, it's Glenn.
iPhone. There he is.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, okay. And we assume that the agenda meets the criteria. Any public
And
comment?
can you hear me now, everyone?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Any,
Yeah, the internet is out at my house. I don't know why, but so I had to go to iPhone.
okay, glad you could rejoin us. Any public comments, Dr. Van?
None at this time.
Okay. So the only item on the agenda is the revision to the medical psychologist rule. And in the cloud, you were sent an application for advanced practice, but this was a special meeting set aside just to deal with the updating the rules. So we're going to carry that application over to the September meeting, which is just a little over a month away. So can we put the rule up and look at it sort of page by page?
Yeah, just if somebody will give me an opportunity to share a screen, I will do that for you.
You have it, Dr. Van. You can share.
Thank you.
And I guess, Patricia, it was you that had already done some work on the rule, which I appreciate.
I think either I did it or Lauren did it or Dr. Van did it. I can't remember whose all spoons were in that pot.
Well, whoever it was, much appreciated.
Yeah, what you should see in I think the document that Dr. Van has is just the changing of some of the terminology from the 2014 and 2024 law change, where they started talking about primary care providers
Right.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the essential change is changing from physician to primary care provider.
And then there's a section in the rules that deal with like collaboration with the physician. And so I put a comment in there, like, is that supposed to all change from physician to primary care provider in that section too? So you'll see that in the
Yeah, I saw
comment.
that.
Do you want me to share my screen, Dr. Van, or do you have it?
That's fine. I got it. It's up.
Okay.
The consultation and collaboration with an MP, and I have that right there. I wanted to point out that,
It's not showing on our screens, Dr. Van.
No, I'm not
oh,
saying
I'm
it.
sorry, I thought it was. I apologize. Hang on.
Is this,
How about, nope, that's not it. Nope, hang on a second.
There you go.
there it is. I got it.
Okay, that's the Practice Act. That's not
That's
the
the
rule.
Practice Act. That's not what I was trying to share. I'm trying to figure out what happened to my share. Okay, let's see. Can you see it now?
No.
I can.
You can?
Yes.
I am
Yes.
able to see it.
Yes.
Okay,
Everybody can see it.
all right,
Okay.
that's the rules.
Okay.
So this one right here, I want to make a comment to you. I want to get this passed, okay? And what I want to point out to you is that the goal of having this collaboration more than anything else is if there is a untoward reaction, most of you all are practicing in office-based settings and not in hospital-based practices. The goal was, one of the things that I was told, and doing my research on it, is that that would be the physician that would manage that complication if they had to go to an emergency room or a hospital without just dumping those patients in an unreferred manner. So whether you take a primary care provider or a physician, it might be wise to use some language that they're a licensed provider or a licensed Louisiana physician residing and practicing in Louisiana. Now, the whole issue of primary care providers being PAs or APRNs, they're supposed to have collaborative practice agreements or supervising agreements with physicians. And ultimately, they may send you the patient, but really, they are the ancillary provider to the physician. So and we do know, unfortunately, that there are some people who don't even have collaborative practice physicians as APRNs and don't have supervising physicians as PAs. We can't address it until we get a complaint, but we know it's out there. So in order to protect you and get these passed, you might want to think about keeping it as a physician and relationship with a physician, and then make sure that that physician is licensed and practicing in Louisiana. But you guys do what you want to do. I've said what I've said. If it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. But I'm just trying to help you get it passed.
So are we talking about that very first little paragraph of collaborating physician definition?
Right here, and then I'm highlighting.
Well, actually right above it, right?
Well, right
Up,
here,
right up.
see the blue?
Oh yeah, I see that.
It's super tiny. Can you possibly make it any bigger?
Oh, absolutely. We can do that.
Yeah, that's better. Good. Thank you.
Okay,
Now-
so it's this consultation and collaboration. Okay,
But now, do you want that physician, if you go 2 sections up to collaborating physician only, is that where you want to define the physician as one who has a medical license in the state of Louisiana?
that would be a suggestion that I would make to you that may help it pass the board's muster. That's all I'm saying to you.
So you said, when you just first ran through it just a minute ago, you said lives and licensed in Louisiana, but they don't actually have to live here, but they do have, in your view, they should have to be actively practicing here locally where they could address a complication if it
Right.
arose. But if
Yeah.
they live in Mississippi and drive across the lake to work in a New Orleans facility or something.
Well, and again, by the same token, is if that physician is working, let's say they live in Slidell and work in Louisiana. I don't care, okay? They can live in wherever, but that physician has to be physically practicing in Louisiana that can manage the complication that might occur in an untoward reaction to a medication that nobody could have predicted.
Right. I totally understand that. It's just when you were just quickly summarizing it, you said they had to live in Louisiana too. And that's not really what we mean. We just mean they have to be actively practicing in a Louisiana location.
And what we don't, and
Well,
I just want to eliminate the telemedicine provider from Wisconsin.
right, right. You're also saying that they need to be licensed in Louisiana, correct?
Licensed and practicing in Louisiana,
Right,
physically
Mhm.
practicing in Louisiana.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
because
that-
there are some physicians at the VA, for example, who may not be licensed,
Correct.
who may not be living in Louisiana or licensed in Louisiana. They may be licensed elsewhere.
Well, if they have an exemption, I mean, we can, we can deal with that on a, whatever, a case by case basis.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, Glenn,
Mhm.
be clear,
Yeah,
you, is this, because we don't get involved in federal establishments and practices on federal installations. But if that
okay.
physician is collaborating with you outside of the federal realm, and let's say you have
In
an
the-
office practice in that town,
Outside the federal, yes,
right?
right,
That should
right.
not happen because he is not licensed in Louisiana. But if it is
No,
collaborating.
because he's
say, on a
not licensed in
military base-
Louisiana.
Huh?
Right.
Right, if he practices
You are
outside
correct.
the confines, okay.
I certainly don't have any objection to adding that.
So I want to just make sure I have no objection to what you're suggesting, but I just want to make sure. So we're revising the laws to coordinate with what the law says now.
Revising the rules.
Yeah,
The rule.
to make them clear because the law was changed last year. And what the law allows is for you to accept a referral from a nurse practitioner or another mid-level. Is that correct?
Yes.
It
Okay.
allows you to
Yes.
accept the referral,
Yes.
but there's a difference between collaborating and accepting a referral.
No,
Yeah.
I understand that. I just want to make sure that as we're
Yeah.
going through this, we keep clear, so in my practice, I now can accept a referral from a nurse practitioner. I'll schedule that patient. And then at that patient's, well, usually what our staff does before the patient even gets to me is they'll ask that PA or nurse practitioner who their collaborating provider is.
Right,
And it's usually listed before I even see the patient. If it's not, we list it at the time that I see the patient before I prescribe any medications.
and I think that's what we're trying to get you to do. We don't care if because most of those people are working under a supervising physician. And
Yes,
and I think the key we want to encourage is if they're not, maybe you all should say, we're happy to accept it, but we can't accept it because you don't have a collaborating or supervising physician.
and that's what they should do, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we're on the same page.
But to continue with that example, if you receive the referral from the nurse practitioner, but for whatever reason you need to collaborate because of a side effect issue, then what we're suggesting here is that you don't collaborate with the nurse practitioner, you collaborate with the physician who's supervising the nurse practitioner.
Right, because the physician is the one that we think has the most experience and the best ability to deal with those problem situations.
And that's assuming that the collaborating physician is aware of the patient. Does the nurse practitioner consult all those cases with the collaborating physician?
Well, he is responsible for them. He is responsible.
Okay.
Well, let me kind of clarify. My understanding as a collaborative physician is that we review cases every month with our nurse practitioners, which may include like 10% of their, caseload or something like that. But there's a difference between supervisory and collaborative. Van, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, but collaborative is for APRN, supervising is for PAs. The
So,
question
Gotcha.
is
Okay.
PAs.
Gotcha. No, that's fine. That's all I needed to know.
Okay.
so I just want to work through a real world example so we can all kind of make sure we're thinking about the same way. So first off, we have two levels of medical psychologists. We have advanced practice and we have just regular medical psychologists. I would say as a regular medical psychologist, you will always 100% probably be collaborating with the physician even if a nurse practitioner refers them to you, because the law says collaborate with the physician. After your advanced practice, the collaboration is usually more informal, and it's more like I send a copy of a note to someone, those kind of things I would only really call if I had an issue. And in my practice, I usually call the nurse practitioner because that's the one the person sees. And then if there's an issue beyond that, they would consult with their physician. So you're saying I shouldn't call the nurse practitioner at all. I should only call the physician.
I think that you should call the person that's going to be the most effective in handling the problem. And if you don't know how that practice works, you may want to go through the nurse practitioner. But if you know that, you know, for example, that nurse practitioner works only in the office, has no hospital privileges, the doctor has hospital privileges, then you probably ought to go where they can be treated. And that's what I'm trying to say. What we want to prevent is two things: an untoward reaction where there's nobody primarily responsible for it, and they get dumped in an emergency room. And number two, we want to prevent you all from getting in the trap of, well, we assume that they had a collaborative physician and they don't, or we assume they have a supervising physician and they don't. So that's what this is, an attempt to protect you all. But again, we'll present anything you want to the board, and we just hope that they pass.
We want to present something that they're going to pass, obviously.
And Darla, I think there's, in my head, in my practice, I think of two levels of that collaboration at the advanced practice level. One, if I've got someone losing weight and they're falling off the growth chart with stimulants, I want to give them cyproheptadine. And according to our law, as an advanced practice, there needs to be some collaboration on that. I would think that that kind of collaboration would be fine with a nurse practitioner level. But if I've got something like a cardiac issue, then I think for me, I would probably want to talk to the physician and whoever's over that nurse practitioner.
Well, you can protect yourself by always sending a note to the collaborating or supervising physician, just as you send the note to the NP or the PA.
And I think that's kind of standard of care. I think everybody does that anyway. I know I do. I put the nurse practitioner and the collaborating physician on every note.
And
Well,
that's ideal, Darla. That really is ideal,
Mhm.
because it's important that the doc knows what's going on in the practice, okay? And again, we are tuning those things up at this end for those groups. And as I know this is happening, I want to make sure we're consistent across all of those areas.
Yeah. Now, does that maybe speak to us, including in the rules, something about that, what Darla just said, about if you do have a referral from a nurse, or do we already have that in there?
I
That
think we had it in there. I'll have to look again.
I know we talked about it at some point. I just don't know if
Yeah,
it
I remember we talking about it too as well. Again, the current rules say discussion, okay, so then.
You know, in advanced practice, you meet the requirement for consultation with regular notes to the physician or a yearly summary. But if you're sending regular notes, you don't have to do an ending yearly summary, because you're keeping the physician and the nurse practitioner PA informed all along the way.
Yeah. I think the rub comes in with if there's a side effect that you're wanting to manage, because we've spelled out that requires consultation at the advanced practice level.
It requires consultation both at the MP level and the MPAP level.
Correct. And to me, that's the gist of what Van's getting at is, when it comes time to talk to someone, who is that we're going to want to be getting some guidance from, or we're gonna want to update.
So I was just going back to look at what we changed in the law. The law now says a medical psychologist shall prescribe only in consultation and collaborating with the primary care provider and with the concurrence of that primary care provider. So the law says primary care provider, which includes now nurse practitioner and physician's assistant. But I think you're correct, Chris, our rules do say for any side effects, you have to consult with, and we can keep that primary care physician, I mean, if we want to, or physician.
Well, since provider is a very broad term, if that's the kind of language that rules are designed to clarify.
So in the law, it says primary care provider means the principal treating or attending physician, physician's assistant, or nurse practitioner responsible for the patient's care. That's how it's defined in the law.
But since it starts out with physician and no APRN should be practicing without a collaborative practice physician, and no PA should be practicing without a supervising physician, okay? I think we can clarify that language in the rule by saying primary care provider means that the reports shall go to this physician and or their PA or nurse practitioner, and consultations for problems should go directly to the physician. That's what rules are designed to clarify.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could go with that.
Yeah. To the physician. Now, we're not going to specify which physician because as
referenced in the physician involved in the care of the patient.
right, because as we talked about, the attending physician may be different than the primary care physician in a hospital setting.
In an office setting as well.
Yeah.
The primary care provider, may be the PA who's handling most
Right.
of the mild essential hypertension that's not complicated,
Right.
renal disease and no obesity, but that still has a physician supervisor, and that's where the complications need to be addressed.
Right, right. I agree. Now, what I'm saying is differentiating between what is commonly called the primary care physician, that's a generalist generally, or internal medicine doc or someone like that, as opposed to the attending physician in a hospital who may be a cardiovascular surgeon or somebody else like that.
Right, but again, generally, the thing that we would expect more than anything else is who's going to handle the untoward reaction that you all
Right.
think.
Right. And in a hospital setting, it may be a hospitalist. If a
Right.
person's on a psych unit in a hospital, in a general hospital, it may be a hospitalist involved in the hospital.
Correct.
Yeah.
But again, those settings are less frequent in your specialty
Yes.
than they are in other areas of specialization.
Agree.
You all have office-based practices and are not in hospitals.
So what about an example? I think that's relatively common is, for example, in Darla's case, you have a referral from a neurologist.
And that's fine. The neurologist is equipped. Now, he may not want to, but that neurologist is equipped to handle those
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the rules, we need to revise, so basically in the law, we took out some language and or added language that we need to make sure we put in the rules, I guess.
Let's
And
go
y'all-
back up to definitions.
Yeah.
Ms. Patricia, you think that's where the definition for primary care provider should be?
Yes, we should identify that and consistent with the law.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and let's primary or attending physician, and then we'll write it right there. We'll put in primary care provider. Let me make a note.
So the law actually defines nurse practitioner, physician's assistant, and primary care.
But I think what we needed to do is make sure that one is, again, one may not be equipped to handle the complication, and that's the most important thing. We're not talking
then-
about somebody who's losing weight, we're talking about somebody who has a true untoward reaction.
Right.
Time.
Do you also do you need to say the primary care provider is in fact an MD, not an NP?
Well, the law explicitly says they're not MDs. They can be physician's assistants or nurse practitioners.
But I
Is that
think
a
we've
problem?
made, I think
we
we've
can
made it
structure-
clear
we
that
can
the
structure-
physician has the ultimate authority.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to be clear with the law, primary care in the law now means something more than just physician. But for the side effects or untoward effect, definitely the physician.
I think we can structure some language to address that.
You know, it makes sense to since this is to clarify the law, that for the management of adverse effects from medication, that the consultation would be with an MD provider. I would say clarifying as opposed to calrifying.
I like it.
Look, I'm a terrible typist. I make no bones about it. He's typing to guys my age, okay?
That's why God invented MS Word.
Look, I'll come back and fix that later on. Trust me.
Understood.
Okay, so do we have that somewhat nailed down?
I think we got that.
Okay, before we leave page 2, we need to add 4 definitions that are in the law. Definition of a nurse practitioner, definition of a PA, definition of primary care, and definition of a primary care provider.
Let me go back and put a new thing. And what we'll do, we'll take that, and what we'll do is we'll tie those definitions to the related physician. That way everybody's clear about it. Is that okay with that?
Yes.
Sure,
Yes,
sure.
yes.
All right. I think that takes care of that. Okay.
Okay, on page 3, at the top of the page on page 3, the law says that before someone can apply for their MP license, they have to have 3 years of clinical experience. And that's not really spelled out as clearly as it is in the law. I like the way the law says it better, that you have to have 3 years of clinical experience. Just period, add that as another requirement.
So you want to add a new 7 and turn 7 into 8?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, hang on a minute. That's not what I wanted to do.
The law says it pretty simply. It says has passed a national examination in psychopharmacology approved by the board, which is the number 6 there, but it's a little more wordy and it doesn't need to be. And then it says has successfully completed at least 3 years of clinical experience. They're two separate entries, but they're very simple and concise.
Okay.
Let me ask a question, because I remember when we wrote our original law 20-something years ago, I had this discussion with several people because I had not been licensed for 3 years at the time we wrote the original law. How do you define 3 years of clinical practice? Is that postdoctoral? Does that count your internship? Like, that's not defined in any way.
It's 3 years of clinical experience prior to applying for your MP license.
But when you're on your internship, you're not a PhD, but that's a year of clinical experience. Does that count?
That wasn't the intention. The intention was 3 years postdoctoral experience.
Because it's not defined, so that's ambiguous, I think, in some ways.
Okay.
Okay, so Darla, are you concerned that there would be a time, and we can, if we need to put a sunset clause in it, we may have to, but are you concerned that at this point, if you came back and tried to get this, or somebody would try and challenge you, we'd have to say, from this date forward, it's defined as 3 years of postdoctoral clinical experience?
I just think this is kind of my thought process. Medical psychology or prescribing psychology, as it's called in some other states, is becoming more common. I think graduate study programs are going to start teaching some of this curriculum in graduate school. You're not going to need as much postdoctoral in years to come. And people are going to come to you and say, well, I did all this experience on my internship or on my whatever. And just, it needs to be clear that you're not talking about that.
I think that's going to be too hard for us to determine. It's much simpler to say 3 years postdoctoral experience. You
Well,
really want them to practice as a psychologist.
And I'm okay with that, but it does not say postdoctoral in the law. It just says 3 years clinical experience.
Well, let's just say has successfully completed at least 3 years of postdoctoral clinical experience.
I mean, if you, I guess, can
As a licensed psychologist,
Yes.
I would include that term licensed.
Yeah.
well, no, I just can see people reading that differently depending on where they are in their career. So I just want to make sure we think that out.
I think that's valid. And the problem comes in when they come to you and you evaluate their experience and they say, well, you didn't tell me I had to exclude XYZ experience, that only a certain type of experience counted. So while I generally think, you want to give yourself as much leeway as possible, you also have to give the applicants a fair understanding of what they have to have when they come to you and how they get it.
Yeah.
So as a licensed clinical psychologist or a licensed psychologist would suffice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. 3 years postdoctoral.
You don't even have to say
Clinical experience.
postdoctoral.
I mean, because you can be postdoctoral and not licensed for at least
Right.
a year.
Right.
Because it is at least
licensed
1 year.
clinical.
That's
Yes.
true. Yeah.
So technically, if you say post-license, that's 4 years postdoctoral.
So I would simply leave it as licensed psychologist.
Yeah. I would take out the postdoc.
Yeah. 3
Sure.
years clinical experience as a licensed psychologist. Okay, and then are we ready to leave that? A little further down on that page, paragraph 3909. Can we just eliminate that now? I mean, this was sort of covering people who were in that gray area after 2009. I don't think it needs to be in there any longer. If somebody hasn't, it says, provided the application is made within 12 months of the effective date of these rules. I mean, if right there, if they haven't done it, they're eliminated. So I don't think we even need to have that in there anymore. None of those people are going to.
You want to delete all of 3909?
I don't think it needs to be in there.
Okay, that's
We
fine.
gave them a period to apply, and that's long since expired.
Right. So that is not in the law any place, is it?
No,
Because this is just a rule that we're dealing with here.
right?
Okay. Then the next thing would be this. Qualifications for certificate of advanced practice.
Right.
Y'all all comfortable with this?
Down on number 6, this is where we have a chance to tighten up the a type of CE that we're going to accept. Are we going to continue to accept up to date 0.5, click on a medicine type CE, or are we going to tighten that up? This is what I'm proposing. On number 6, completed a minimum of 100 hours of continuing medical education relating to the use of medications and managed patients with psychiatric illness, commencing with the issuance of the MP license by the board.
Say that again, I missed it, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're just saying that the 100 hours commences with the time they are granted their MP license. That's when the 3 years begins.
Okay, so I'm even missing 3.
Commencing, you're saying commencing with the issuance of an MP license.
Yes,
Okay. Well, I mean, that should come out anyway, because there's no more certificate of prescriptive authority by LSB. It should be EP. It's even spelled wrong. So
Yeah.
that's
Right.
that doesn't
So
exist.
A can be eliminated,
Just keep B, right?
just keep B.
well, yeah, B will just kind of feed into 6.
Hang on.
Want to eliminate A
Delete A.
and keep B.
And do we keep 6 as just one thing and we can just combine with the date of the MP of the board is after January 1st, 2010, because there's no point in having a B,
Right.
because there's no
Yeah.
C.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So I'm
Combine
saying eliminate A and B. B will sort of feed into 6, commencing with the date the MP is licensed by the board.
Okay, wait, with 6, the 6 I have
Yeah.
completed a minimum of 100 hours of continuing education related to the use of medications in the management of patients with psychiatric illness. Commencing with.
Yeah.
Commencing with B.
What you would do, Van, is just eliminate A, and there's no need for this B. Just put the sentence, the date the MP is licensed by the board after January 10th, right after commencing with.
All right.
Commencing with the date.
We don't even need
Commencing
that
with the date the
January-
MP
we
is
don't even
licensed
need
by
that
the board.
January 10th on there.
Yeah, you
All
don't
we
need the
need
date
is
anymore
the
either.
No,
date
just-
the MP is licensed by the board.
By LSBME.
Yeah, we don't need that January 10th on there. That's irrelevant now.
Right.
Okay, but I do have an A and a B under 6.
We don't need that A.
No, we don't need either the A or the B. The B will tie into the paragraph 6.
6.
Item 6,
Right.
commencing with the date the MP is licensed by the board, period.
Period.
Okay, A. I wish I just wrote this out a little while ago because I just didn't want to miss our chance to talk about this. A, each individual CME activity must be of at least 2 hours in CME credit. Now we can say 1 hour, we can say 2 hours. I'd really like for it to be more than 0.5 hours because we can eliminate those up-to-date kinds of
Yeah, well, I would go with
organizations
one
that are
hour.
out there.
I would go with 1 hour, not necessarily 2 hours.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
All right. The B is at least 25% of the CME hours must be earned through live, quote unquote, on-site attendance at a workshop, conference, or similar activity. Okay, they're already going to get 15% by their required LAMP hours for relicensure for each of those 3 years, 5 hours each year. So they would essentially need 10 more hours, which they could get at LAMP or some other conference.
So can this be online, or are you saying it has to?
Nope, nope. They can get 75% online, but the 25% has to be live attendance at a conference, workshop, whatever.
And the other thing to be thinking about, this is not for their CE for licensure renewal. They can still use up to date for that. This
Yes,
is
yes.
100 hours for advanced practice.
Thank you for correcting or pointing that out, because I wasn't thinking that. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, this is for
I think
the
that's fair.
advanced practice.
Mhm.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Now, I'm gonna jump to something because I may have to leave early,
Okay,
but I want to get to, first of all, this maintenance of basic life support still is in there, okay?
yes,
And we're just just need to clarify it that it's gonna be based on submission to CE broker, okay? That's how you're gonna prove you did it.
Van, do we want to put C broker in there, suppose?
No, we're gonna use
BME,
the electronic tracking system for continuing education is what we use.
okay, okay,
We don't use the name, but yes, you're right. And then the other thing that I wanted to address was the ethics issue. We have gone away from, quote, an ethics course because it's more important that you all know and get exposed to the law and rules. So most of the other licensee classes, and Ms. Wilton, correct me if I'm wrong, are going to changing that ethics course to say the law and rules course, which you can get for free. We now require it at least one time. So either if you want to say one of the licensees is saying, we want the ethics course every year, you all can say you want one time, but at least the law and rules course should be at least once in lieu, and then you can say, or an additional ethics course for maintenance. But again, the most important thing is, I think we need to get people to read and understand these law and rules.
and
Most of the time, nobody ever reads them until they get a complaint.
this is what I put there. Where is it? Oh, now C, at least 2 hours required by this section shall be devoted to ethics relevant to the practice of medical psychology. Successful completion of the law and rules for medical psychology examination satisfies this requirement.
You want the completion for what law and rules for examination?
That's the title of it. I called Susie today to ask her the official title.
Good enough.
Successful completion of the law and rules for medical psychologist examination satisfies this requirement.
I like that. I want to go back to the BLS just for one more time. We've never had in the law how often you have to renew your BLS. For us, most of us, it's every 2 years. Do we
Right.
want to make any reference to because we had people confused when they saw it on CE Broker this year that they had to do it every year now.
No.
Well, all they have to do is look at their certificate and see when it expires.
I understand that. I don't think some other people.
It just says maintenance of basic life support.
Yeah,
I think
that's-
what was throwing people is that CE broker was requiring the certificate to be uploaded again, even if I did it last year, they were looking for it again.
Well, again, we can take the whole group and split everything into every 2 years, but to split it like this, that's probably the only way CE Broker can do it, but I'll look into it. But I think they're gonna want you to upload a current certificate every year since we do your CMEs on a yearly basis.
Yeah, I think that's where the confusion came in.
Okay. Nobody's looks at the rules anyway, according to Dr. Kalaris. They wouldn't see it in there anyway.
Well, let
Well,
me say this to you. I always thought people did until I came here and figured it out that they didn't. And we were getting people who said, gee, I didn't know it's not supposed to do that. So the board took the action to say, okay, we want law and rules for everybody at least once. And like I said, some of the specialties, some of the license classes are going to every year because it's just so difficult sometimes.
I think a lot of our people will choose to do it too, because it's an easy way to get those 2 hours of credit.
yeah,
Right.
and it's relevant. I mean,
Absolutely.
changing them more frequently.
And Chris, you and I worked with Susie on the course. The questions are going to have to be modified because of the changes in the law last year. So I'm going to send you today the pre-test, and the pre-test and the post-test are essentially the same. They're just in different order, both the choices within a question and the order of the questions. But we need to go through that and
Update it.
determine what are no longer relevant or need to be changed. I'll
Yep,
send you
good.
that out later this afternoon.
Okay.
And Susie can change those relatively quickly on the website through CE Broker. Can we go back to page 9 just for a second?
You're on page 9.
Every time I see this, it kind of bugs me. So number 2 there in the right-hand column.
This number 2 right here?
Yeah, number 2. Somebody couldn't decide whether they wanted to spell out 15 or use the number 15.
Yes, I see that.
So we just need to change that.
That keeps you up at night, huh?
You know, stuff like that bothers me.
Now, that's a diagnostic signal for OCD.
Oh yeah, no question. I wish I was just OCD about useful stuff, though.
Right.
That's the problem with OCD.
Robert, you and I have no way of complaining about OCD because you and I both know the only reason we got through residency in medical school because we got OCD and we spent the rest of our life in therapy to overcome it.
Yep, hands up right there. Okay.
Okay, so Van, if you have to leave, can you send us back to where we were?
Where you want to go? I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Lauren take over from here. I'm going to send her my copy and she'll combine my copy and her copy.
Okay, sounds good.
Lauren, you ready? I'm going to give up the share.
Sure thing. I don't have your comments and stuff though.
I am going to send them to you.
Oh, right now? Okay, cool.
Not maybe in the next 10 minutes before I get out of here, but I'm going to disappear. I'm going to save this and then I'm going to send it to you.
Okay, do you have any other comments on the things that we haven't addressed?
Okay, no, that's really everything I have. Okay.
Okay, then we can just work off this other copy. Then, like you said, I'll combine it.
Okay, good enough. Thank you so much.
Of course. Let me share my screen.
Drive safe, Van. The bad weather. Bad weather.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Van.
I apologize. My ophthalmologist beat me up because I hadn't been to see him like I should be. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
See you next month.
Good seeing you.
Bye-bye.
All these things about good seeing you when he's going to see an ophthalmologist.
Well,
That's
you know,
interesting.
I had to throw that out. I couldn't not take that opportunity.
So Lauren, just on page 5, if anybody else has anything that, I'm just trying to go through it in order. On page 5, a little more of my OCD, paragraph 3921 at the bottom. first item A, regionally accredited institution instead of regional.
Alrighty, hold on. This-
I'm sorry, guys. My internet keeps popping in and out here.
There you go. It's got it.
Okay.
I don't have anything else. Well, this is a question that Lauren or Patricia can help us with. In the law, in the change in the law, we put in a paragraph, and this had to do with that issue about maintaining dual licensure, and the LSBEP thought that was important and necessary. But we put in a paragraph that clearly said that you did not have to maintain dual licensure after you receive a license as an MP. I don't think that's necessary to put into the rule because it doesn't require the MP to do anything, and there's no procedure that needs to be sort of elaborated upon. It just says it's not necessary. Am I right about that, or do we have to work it into the rule some way?
No, I agree with that. I mean, the law is primary to the rules, and the rules don't have to. There's nothing else to tell them to do about not having to do something.
Okay, that's good.
No, the rule doesn't have to address every single thing in the statute.
Are we going to talk about psychometrists?
That's actually not in the rule. It's only in the law. I looked carefully in the rule to see if it was mentioned anywhere, and I don't find that it is.
Okay.
Do we want it to be?
No, because we plan to take it out
We plan taking it out.
Okay.
out
well,
of the
perfect.
law in the coming legislative session.
It's the one time that the rule supersedes the law.
Doesn't supersede, but it.
So since we didn't really come up with the language at the very beginning about the consult and collaborate, will we get a copy of everything before we finalize it to publish it?
What I would like to do is to make the changes that we talked about today, and then have a chance to review it at our meeting in March in September. We won't wait quite till March. In September, to see if there are any other issues or areas that still remain to be vague and need to be maybe elaborated on a little more, or perhaps a little more clearly. There's one thing that I wanted to ask either Lauren or Patricia about in the rule that was sent on the cloud, or I guess it wasn't sent on the cloud, you're just pulling it up, is the one you have up right now with the highlighted number 3 under limitations of practice. What was the thought about highlighting that?
I think we discussed it a little bit at the last meeting, but I didn't know what we wanted to do about it. So
Was it about the obesity?
The obesity
I think
part?
probably that it had to do about that.
I think we just
Um,
do nothing for a little while.
yeah.
Well-
So, I mean, Patricia can speak to this better because she was involved in drafting them, but like the current rules that we have in place regarding obesity are like the amphetamines, and that's why they're regulated. And so this doesn't deal with anything like the GLP-1s, but those will be covered in the new rules. So with that being covered, whether that's something that y'all still want to prohibit your profession from,
Well,
treating.
the way I look at it is obesity is a medical condition, and we don't treat medical conditions. we treat side effects, and maybe weight gain is a side effect, but if weight gain becomes obesity, then there's a medical condition there. And I think we're not authorized to treat medical conditions. That has to go to the primary care provider.
Okay, cool. Well, then I'll just keep this in here. I'll get rid of the highlight, but whenever we're, closer to getting the final rules finalized, I'll make sure that the 6901 to 6913 matches up with whatever the new rules come out.
Okay.
And so, yeah, just going off of what you were saying earlier, if y'all want this for the September meeting, will probably happen is that I'll combine these with what Dr. Van did, and we'll get a copy running, a clean copy and one with edits. We'll email them around to y'all. Probably I'll BCC it. That way we don't want y'all starting like an email chain or talking about it outside of the meeting. So you'll all get a copy of both of them. That way you can be familiar with the changes that are made and y'all can look at it. And also like think about any changes that you want to do, anything you want to add, anything like this is our opportunity to really get these in tip-top shape. And then at the September meeting, we'll be able to really either finalize or, work a little bit more and to fine tune the things. So expect an email,
Yeah, this is a really worthwhile undertaking. Needs to be done, but we need to get it right. I mean, if we find other things that need attention, I think we should take the time to get it done.
Absolutely. So if y'all are also getting questions or comments or anything from people, that are working in your space, any sort of confusions that we can clean up, now's the time to really do it, because the whole promulgation process itself with the register takes about, anywhere between 3 and 9 months, depending on how things go. So it's not something that we want to, open up
rush through
every few months, if y'all find something. So now's really the time to make sure we get everything we can.
The proposed change in the rule comes out in the register about the 3rd week of the month.
Yeah, so the register is published the 20th of the month.
And people have how long to comment? 60 days?
I think it's normally 45-ish, maybe 60, but then there's an opportunity for a public hearing that they have to say, within 20 days. But I mean, since I've been at the board, we've done probably 10 or so rule changes. No one's ever asked for a hearing, but we have gotten comments on it. But with your rules, since y'all are just the committee, the rules itself will have to be approved by y'all and then go to the board and then go to the legislature for a financial review. Like there's a bunch of steps before it gets to like a public comment period. And just, just to let y'all know, I am going on maternity leave at the end of October. But you'll be, Patricia will be here and Dr. Van to help shepherd this too. But just letting y'all know as far as like the calendar for the end of the year goes.
How long before publication does a rule need to be submitted to the register?
It goes to the register. It's due like the 10th of the month, and then it gets published on the 20th of the month.
Okay, that's not that much of a delay. Okay.
No, it's not that bad. But it just has to go through all the other steps. And then after the notice gets published and there's the public comment period, and then it goes to the legislature for an oversight, like we have to send them notice basically, and then they review it. It also goes to the Attorney General's office for some antitrust review. It just kind of gives us cover on that. And that is a little bit more of a time delay because they're really thorough and they look at every single change that's made through the lens of, antitrust and protectionism and stuff like that. And then we get a report from them that they write up. So that normally takes a month or two. And then it goes for like a final publication. So it can be a long process if there's any, back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, appreciate your help, Lauren and Patricia. Appreciate your input. It's very helpful.
Warren,
Anything- yeah.
before we leave this obesity thing, I want to make sure I'm understanding how, because I'm not clear. How are we handling any MPs who approach or ask questions about using these GLP-1s to treat side effects of weight gain?
Well, what I'm telling people now who ask me is that there are no FDA indications for GLP for psychiatric conditions. And you're using it off-label. I'm telling people that the board is developing a policy for the development of GLP ones, and that it is my recommendation. I'm saying it's mine. I'm not saying it's the committee. I'm not saying it's the board's. I'm just saying it's my recommendation that you wait until this policy is published and you carefully look at your use of off-label GLP-1s in light of the large number of people that are ending up in ERs because of side effects of GLP-1s. That's one reason the board is adopting this policy, as I understand it.
Do we know, is the medical board's policy going to address off-label use for weight gain?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I just want to make sure we're not going to have to, like, we're not going to miss an opportunity to address that with what we're doing here. And it sounds like we're going to defer to what the medical board rules are in general.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
and
sir-
then superimposed on your particular prohibitions on, or the distinction between dealing with medical conditions versus psychiatric conditions. So if at the end of the day, there's confusion or concern in your field about that, it's possible we might have to, write up some guidance or something like that, but we can discuss all that after the rules are.
Published.
And the rules use the word obesity. So if we decide, or the board and its rules are addressing obesity, and at some point we think it's appropriate for people to use these for weight gain associated as a side effect, you could, I don't think this rule precludes that because you're not treating obesity. So
Mhm.
Well, but
Right. In the same way with, if you give a medication, give Zoloft to a pregnant woman and she starts with nausea and vomiting, you can treat that, but you can't treat hyperemesis gravidarum, which
Mhm.
is a medical disease, a medical problem.
Right.
So, I mean,
I just want to make sure we didn't have to clarify any of that here. It doesn't sound like we do.
No, I think it's too early to really know what we're trying to clarify.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for today? All right, so I think our next meeting is like September the 19th or something like that. So we will take hopefully a final look, maybe not, at the rule. And then I know we have one application to review for advanced practice, and I'll have that reposted on the CloudServe for the next meeting.
just FYI, I still was never able to log into the cloud. It never sent me an email to reset my password again.
right, it's the
So
same with
something's
me.
obviously wrong with
Okay.
it today.
Well, Tracy, I think if y'all can just maybe have an individual conversation with Tracy,
Yeah,
she'll be able to
yeah.
help you.
You may have exhausted all your bites at the apple, and there's nothing we can do about it.
To be honest with you, when I very first started here, I never was able to get any kind of email to reset my own password anyway. So I think that's just a thing, some kind of way.
Well,
But here
I-
she's saying in the chat, if you just email her, if you have the chat function, or it's just her first initial last name,
way to go. Okay.
LSPME.
Yeah, and she's very helpful. I've had to use her to reset mine.
You might want to check your spam folders as well, but I can change your password for you.
Yeah, okay. Tracy, put your email up there again one more time, please.
It's in the chat. It's
Okay,
TMAURO
in the
at
chat.
lsbme.la.gov.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Welcome.
See you in September. Have a good weekend.
Yep. Have a good one.
Want to
Take
just
care.
do
Safe
a
with all the
formality?
bad
All right,
weather.
guys, y'all have
Thanks,
good
Rob.
weekend.
Just gonna adjourn by acclamation?
Yes.
Yeah, don't necessarily need a motion to adjourn.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for participating, Patricia and everyone.
Have a great weekend.
Definitely.
You
our
too.
pleasure.
Bye-bye.
And a good
All right,
Memorial
bye-bye.
Day, Labor Day,
Bye-bye.
rather. Bye now.